Okay, everybody, so we're gonna do advanced compositing. So we're gonna be working with many layers. So the first arrangement of layers we're gonna be working with, I believe, is 8 or 9 layers. And we're gonna open those layers into Photoshop a little differently than normal. You've done it before, but it is different than just file open. So we're gonna do file, scripts, load files into stack. You want to make sure that you have downloaded all the images to the computer that you're going to need. My images are actually in a monster makeup folder, but these are the images you need. You need monster hair, the green skin texture, green nose stitches, green neck stitches, green ear staple, Franken enhanced green forehead, and the bolts. So once you're going to select all of those at the same time. I just click and drag, or you can hold down Command and select them one by one. And then you're going to hit Open. It's going to load them all into this central location, and you're going to hit OK. And because there is so many layers, it is going to take a moment for all your layers to open. While that's happening, I notice my layer panel is not open, so I'm going to go to Window, Layer to pull up my layer panel. Yours might be there already. Okay, so when it opens up, you can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 layers here. What we're going to do is we're going to find the monster hair layer, and we're going to put it on the top of the stack. So this one here is we're going to grab a hold of it and move it to the top of the stack. Then we are going to find the Franken layer, and we're going to move it to the bottom of the stack. So here's our Franken layer. We're going to move it to the very bottom. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to select every layer in the layer stack except the Franken layer, and we're going to choose Free Transform to change the shape of them all together. So I'm going to actually hold down Command and click all of these layers, so every layer except the Franken layer. Okay, so we've got them all selected. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter Free Transform. So we know the shortcut for that. We're going to do it the long way. Edit, Free Transform. And we are going to be resizing these to about 50% of their original size. So if you are up here, you can actually change it 50. And so that is the width, and then the height automatically changed, so 50% and 50%. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit the check mark to commit the transformation. So now you can see it's about the same size as the guy in the background, Franken. So what we're going to do is we're going to hide all the layers except the green skin texture layer and the Franken layer. So we're going to hit the little eyeball. Oops, we're going to leave that one on, and the Franken layer. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab the Move tool, which I'm already on, and we're going to select this green skin layer. We're going to bring it over our Franken layer, just like so, and try and line it up with the eyes. So we're going to do as best we can. Now, if we need to adjust it at all, we can do Edit, Free Transform. Maybe I might make it a little bit bigger, make it fit a little bit better. Was pretty good though. And then you're going to hit the check mark to commit. Okay, now at this point, we're going to do on the green skin layer, we're going to do the liquify filter. You've used the liquify filter in the past. So what we're going to do is go filter. Oops, make sure you're only on the green skin texture layer right here. And we're going to go filter, liquify. That's going to bring us into this new menu, or this new window. And now what we're gonna do is, let me make sure I have the right one here. I'm gonna click on show backdrop because that's really important that I can see the Franken in the backdrop. And now I'm going to select the first tool, which is the forward warp tool. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the right eyebrow down to close the eye opening and then pull up from under eye. So I'm gonna just try and kind of, might make it a little bit bigger actually here. I'm gonna try and fit it better over the eyes. Liquify is super useful for a lot of things. We're just trying to make it fit a little bit better. They suggest using size 150, which is with the size that I'm on, with the pressure of 75. My pressure is at 100, but pretty close. Once you've closed that gap around the eyes, we're gonna click OK. Okay, pretty good. So now we're going to make the green nose stitches layer available, or visible, I should say. It's this next one here. So we're going to turn on the eyeball. And we're going to choose the move tool, and we're going to do edit, free transform, and we're going to position it. If we need to shrink it or change the size of it, we're going to position that right over the nose area. Then we're gonna go to the green neck stitches. We're gonna turn the visibility on, and we're gonna basically do the same thing for that. If we need to free transform it, we're gonna do so. I'm gonna do it just to rotate it a little bit and shift it. So we're piecing him together a little bit here. Pretty good, pretty good. Hit the check mark to commit. And now we're gonna do we're just working our way up the stack here. Green ear staples. Get that over there. Next one up is in green head forehead, or green forehead. I'm gonna shrink it down just a little bit. And if you just need minor movements, you can also use just the arrow keys to nudge your piece around a little bit. So now we are up to the bolts. Now the bolts are gonna go on either side of kind of where I would say kind of the jawline. Okay, so here it is. And we're gonna drag it down here. We're gonna need to free transform it a bit. And we're gonna hit the check mark then to commit. And then the last one is the monster hair. And again, we're just gonna free transform as needed and piece it together to fit. Okay. Now what we're gonna do is we are going to go back into the liquify filter. And we're gonna be using, this time we're gonna be using the pucker tool and the bloat tool. So I'm just gonna go ahead and adjust the size of these eyes a little bit. And I am on, there we go. I think actually the bloat works better. I am on the Franken layer. And when you're satisfied, you're gonna go ahead and click OK. Ooh, that doesn't actually look so great. I'm gonna go back into that and fix it. Okay, much better. All right, now what we're gonna do is we are going to be working with the zombie skin. So we're gonna select the Franken layer, which we should already be on, and we're gonna click the new layer button at the bottom of the layer panel, which is this button right here. Now, with the new layer, that's going to be our layer 1, we're going to choose color from the blending mode menu at the top of the the layer panel. So right here where it says normal, we're going to go ahead and we're going to choose color. Now we're going to select the brush tool in the options bar, and then select the brush tool, and then in the options bar we're going to put it on about size 60 and hardness of 0. Okay, now what we're going to want to do is we're going to grab the eyedropper tool, and we are going to sample the color of the zombie's skin here in the forehead or the neck area. And then we are going to load all the contents of the Franken layer by holding down Shift and clicking on the thumbnail for the Franken layer. Actually, I'm sorry, that's my mistake. You're gonna wanna hold down Command and click on the thumbnail right here. So hold down Command or Control if you are on the PC, and then that's going to load everything on that layer when you click on the thumbnail. Then you're going to go to layer 1, make sure layer 1 is selected, and you're going to use the brush tool, and you're going to make the brush whatever size you would like it to be, and you're going to simply brush over all of the skin tone, which you had already selected the color for. So you are painting it. Whoa, Tiki's loud. So we want it all to match the face. Okay, I'm just kind of doing a once over, making sure I got everything. I'm gonna even pull it down here across the bottom. Going over the face a little bit more. Okay, perfect. Now you're gonna deselect, Command D. And what we're gonna do next is we're going to make sure that all our layers are visible, which they are, and then we're gonna choose Merge Visible from the Layers panel menu. So we're gonna do Layer, Merge Visible. It's gonna put everything together, and now we have one layer, layer 1. We're gonna rename that Monster. Okay, now we're going to be working to build the movie poster. So we're gonna open up the rest of our images that we're gonna use into Photoshop. So bear with me for a minute while I grab them. File open. It's going to be the background, the faces, and the tombstone. So I'm going to go ahead and say open. So I'm going to actually have 4 tabs that I'm working with in Photoshop. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the move tool, and I'm going to grab my monster, and I'm going to move my monster into the background layer, just like so. Hopefully you have a little bit more hair showing. I wish I would have pulled mine down more before I merged it. Now what we're going to be doing is we are going to be working with our tombstone. So go ahead to your tombstone layer and go ahead and set your foreground and background colors to our default black and white. And that is by clicking the D key on our keyboard. So we're going to click on the command in the thumbnail to load what's in the layer, and then we're going to do filter, render difference clouds. Filter, render difference clouds. So it's similar to what we did with the tombstone when we did the grave scene, but a little different. So filter, render difference clouds. Now we're going to do a little blur. So we're going to do filter, blur, blur gallery, iris blur, we're gonna put the focus at the top of the tombstone because we want the top in focus. We're gonna then click OK. To our grave marker using the adjustment panel. If the adjustment panel is not open, it's always under Window, Adjustments. And we're going to find the channel mixer, and for our output channel we're going to choose green, and then in our settings we're going to type in 37, 100, and for our blues 108. And it's going to give us a nice green color. I'm gonna drop in our adjustment panel. We're gonna play with the exposure a little bit, which is if you hover over them, they pop up and tell you what's what. So this is the exposure, and what we're gonna put it on is a preset. It's gonna be custom, and we're gonna put it on exposure 90. Whoa. 0.90, my mistake, 0.90, 0.90, there you go. Okay, so looking good, looking good. Is you're gonna click back on layer 1, and we're gonna do some lighting effects. So it's gonna be filter, render lighting effects. And it's gonna pop up and it's gonna darken it. And what we're gonna do over here, this is really cool, it's useful for so many things. We're gonna choose point light right here. And so for our intensity, we're gonna put it on 46. And for, and you can actually click in here and change the colors, which is pretty cool. We're gonna do like a yellow here, and this one we're gonna do like a really light blue. You guys can play around with that. I'm open to you doing whatever colors you want there, so have fun with that. Then we're gonna do some settings, gloss 100. I'm sorry, I keep telling you the wrong one, negative 100. Then we're gonna do metallic, negative 100. These are super fun to play with your own projects. And ambience is going to be 46. Great, great, great. Okay, so now we're going to click OK in the options bar. We're going to flatten it, layer, flatten image, And we're going to be bringing this then into, grab the move tool and bring it into the background. Okay, so when I brought it in, I'm getting this white background around it. Don't worry about that. I'm simply going to use my magic wand tool and click in the white and hit delete and deselect to remove that. And now a little bit of reorganizing and finishing up, bringing in one more image. So I'm gonna put this down here in this bottom corner. Okay, now the next part is bringing in the final image. Okay, so now we're gonna do our last portion. So I'm gonna just click on my top layer, which happens to be my title layer. And I'm going to use my second tool down, the elliptical marquee tool, and I'm gonna click and drag to make an oval in the top right section of my project. Then I'm gonna go to get my faces, and I'm gonna select all. So I'm gonna do select all, and then I'm gonna do edit copy. So after I do that, I am gonna go back to my background, and I'm gonna do file. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm gonna do edit, paste special, and I'm gonna do paste into. And go ahead and click OK, and then it's gonna show up and it's gonna look small. So you're gonna have to do Command T and stretch it out. But when you do start stretching it out, you're gonna see that it fits right inside that oval. Go ahead and hit the check mark at the top. Select and mask. Type 30 for feather. And I'm gonna hit return. And when I hit return, it should just soften that edge. And then what I'm gonna do is over here, I'm gonna change the blending mode of this layer to luminosity and drop my opacity ever so slightly to about 50%. Looks pretty good. Okay, so now I'm gonna flatten it, layer, flatten image, and then I'm going to file, save as, so I can turn in.